is I would talk about, oh, hello. I would talk about the experiences that I've had as a leader and what I've had to do over time to have those internal conversations with myself about, am I being true to myself? Am I being true to other people? And how am I going to be, frankly, a better human being? And I look at Canada, and some of you know that my mum was actually from St Andrews in New Brunswick, and I see myself as being part Canadian, and I've been to Canada plenty of times. In fact, sadly, I was meant to be in Montreal last week and it didn't quite work out. And I've been following a lot of the news in Canada, particularly because of, as President Yvette mentioned, some of the past. And when we hear those stories about the past, it's uncomfortable. And I, living in Los Angeles, have seen things and have experienced things that I didn't expect to hear, and I didn't expect to have. Sorry, my cat's kind of decided to want to have a conversation too. The point I'm trying to get at, and I won't keep you for too long, is I want you to think about how can you, as a person, ensure that when it comes to diversity and inclusion, it's not just a buzzword. And so, for example, when I'm on sessions with Canada, at the start of the meetings, I love the fact that you acknowledge the past and you acknowledge the fact that the event is being held on somebody's land. And I love the fact that you are having these conversations. What I would encourage you all to do is, diversity and inclusion isn't just about coming on a Zoom meeting today. And it isn't just about posting, for example, if you're in America, about Black History Month, or posting when it's June and it's Pride. It can't just be a conversation that you have once a year. And it can't just be, although it is profound, and I think it's great that you do it, an acknowledgement at the start of the meeting, and then you have your meeting. And it can't just be that you have these sessions today and you come away and you're all engaged and you're all excited and motivated, and then you carry on with your life. It has to be a conversation that you're all willing to have with yourself and with other people for the rest of your days. Because diversity and inclusion isn't just one part. So diversity and inclusion isn't just the fact that in Canada, you have had your first Black woman national president of JCI Canada. That's fantastic. It has to be more than that. And it can't just be that you go to a conference and you're like, great, I've ticked the box, I went. Or you read a book once. Or after what's happened with the scandals and hearing about the past, you sat there and thought, wow, that's horrible. I hope that never happens ever again. You have to be able to be strong enough internally to think, how am I adding to the conversation? And for me, and my experiences of diversity and inclusion, and my experience as a leader within Junior Chamber International, is if you don't know how to impact the conversation, and you're not sure if you're helping to move the conversation forward, is to just listen. I talk a lot about listening. And for me, to be a leader, you have to put diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything that you do. Because the best leaders out there are people who bring people together. And it's people, and they're bringing people together, and they're okay with diverse thoughts, and they're okay with diverse viewpoints, and they're comfortable being around diverse people, because it's through diverse thoughts and diverse voices and listening to others that as a leader, you can bring people together and you can bring that coalition together to act. So whether you are in Toronto or Montreal and you're starting a new JCI organization, or whether you are in a historic JCI chapter that has done the same project for 20, 30 years, or whether you're new to JCI and you're like, what's JCI about? How can I get involved? The best leaders are the ones that bring those coalitions of people together. And so you really need to, as a leader, to be able to be comfortable with diversity in all of its forms. So not just the fact that you've had a black female leader for JCI Canada. It can't just be that. It has to be that you've got to be comfortable with diversity in all of its forms. Diversity of expression, diversity of views, diversity of thoughts, diversity sexuality-wise, diversity trans-wise, diversity gender-wise, diversity immigration-wise, diversity religion-wise, diversity politically-wise as well. It can't, you have to be able to be comfortable, and it is a real challenge. And for me, you are not a leader if you're not bringing people together. And you aren't a true leader if you're not comfortable with diversity and you're not comfortable with including people, because the best leaders ensure that everybody feels included. And so what I want you all to do is, if you're not sure where you fit into diversity and inclusion, and you're not sure how you can contribute to expanding the conversations and doing the work and ensuring that JCI Canada and Canada as a nation is more equitable and just for everybody, is to sit back and listen. Because it's through listening to those diverse views, it's through listening to those diverse people that you'll find out more about yourself. I have learned a lot this year from Yvette. Yvette comes from a different place than me. I am a conservative. Yvette is not a conservative. We work incredibly well together because Yvette and I listen to each other's point of view. We have a completely different background. We have completely different life experiences. She's got children, she's married. I've got a cat, okay? We are completely, on paper, you would look at Yvette and I on LinkedIn and you would think those two are completely different from each other. But what we've been able to do as leaders is, because we've come from a place of listening to each other and from mutual respect for each other, we've had a very successful year. And so what I want you to do, and I appreciate that this was a little bit rambling, but I wanted just to give my perspective. I didn't want to be using buzzwords. I didn't want to give you this grand speech. What I just wanted to encourage you all is to put diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything that you do as a leader for the rest of your life. And to be okay with listening to uncomfortable conversations, and to be okay with sometimes saying, I don't know, but I'm here to listen. And one of the things that's really struck me about the work that JCI Canada has done this year is, at a previous event, one of your speakers said about how they were there to hold space for other people. And that was something that I thought, wow, I've never said that before. I've said to people, I understand. I've said to people, I can empathize. I've hugged people. I've said all the right things. But I thought, do you know what? Rather than just saying, oh, I feel bad for you, or I'm so sorry that happened to you, that's awful. I thought, why don't I start being more authentic, and why don't I start saying that I'm going to hold space for people? And for me, that was difficult, because as a leader and somebody who likes to talk a lot, I like to give across my point of view. And so what I've had to do is internally sense check myself, and to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, with being comfortable with not knowing the answer, or without being able to help the person, and just to simply say, I'm listening. I'm somebody you could always talk to. I will listen, and I will hold space for you. So that's what I want you to reflect on. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope that that has helped give you a sense of my perspective on diversity and inclusion, and how important it is that fundamentally as a leader, you need to be listening, and you need to ensure that you put diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear IVP Neil, for your remarks. And yes, I do agree that we have to put diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything that we do, and also being ready to listen to others, especially when we don't know. So you are welcome to stay, to remain with us. We know that there's another activity happening right now. So at this time, we will be spotlighting our speakers today. I would like to inform you that there are going to be 4 rooms. We will be breaking out into 4 rooms, and so you feel free to be in the room, to follow the room that you would like. So we have the indigenous community room, the Black community room, the Asian community room, and the Muslim community. So each speakers, they will present in a different room. And I would like to remind everyone, please, to keep your microphone muted, and to raise your hands if you want to speak. There is going to be a time for question after the presentations. And what we are trying to do today is not only to come together, but also to think about the sustainable solutions moving forward, a plan of action as leaders. What can we do to contribute to a better world for all the members of our communities? So at this time, I will spotlight all our speakers, and we are very grateful to have you today. À toutes les personnes qui parlent français, soyez à l'aise de vous exprimer dans la langue de votre choix. So today we have Mr. John Moses.
Segos, Gunagawaga.
Thank you. We have Mrs. Lily Miller. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have Mrs. Biba Tinga.
Hello, everyone. Thank you.
We also have Mrs. Diane Mulders Nguyen, all the way from Netherlands.
Hello, everyone. Greeting from Amsterdam. Thank you.
We also have Mr. Taha Gehur.
Good evening or good night. I don't know what, or good morning, depending on what part of the world you're joining from. Nice to see you this afternoon.
Good evening. We also have Mrs. Agnes Kito.
Salutations to all. Hello.
Good evening. We also have Mr. Fazil Abdu.
Hello, hi.
Hi. And Miss Samiha Ahmed.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum to all.
Mrs. Reg Raffles.
Hello everyone, magandang araw sa inyong lahat.
And Mrs. Alice Shao. Oh.
Hello, bonjour. 各位朋友，大家好。
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. So at this time, I will be opening the breakout rooms. We have all our speakers here today, and we are grateful for your presence, to honor us with your presence this evening. So we will meet again after the presentation by 5:30 to come back, and so that we can have a summary of what was shared and how we can move forward. So see you soon. Diane, are you all right?
I'm checking the breakout rooms, but it's in progress. So I
Oh,
don't
it's
see
not
any
moving
room.
on your end? Okay, let me try to see if I can assign you.
Thank you.
Pause here. We are waiting. Welcome back, everyone. I believe everybody's back now. So, wow, it was in our breakout room. We had a lot of passion into the discussion, and I hope that everyone got a chance to ask questions and also learn something new today in regards to the different presentations that were done. So at this time, each MC's moderator from each breakout room will be reporting on what they have learned and what is the takeaway moving forward, what we can do. So without further ado, I would leave the floor to EVP Sue Solimosi to provide us a report on what they learned in the Indigenous Community Panel.
I'll unmute myself before I start talking. Hello, everyone. Wow, that was a very intense and emotional and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm at a loss for words at how transformational that afternoon was, and I greatly appreciate the speakers who came to present today. I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs barking in the background. What I would like to say about what we learned is that it was very emotional, and it's a tough reality to acknowledge that systemic racism, it doesn't exist in the olden days, it's now. The atrocities of the residential school is hardly one generation removed. The trauma has infiltrated across generations. Sorry, one moment. My apologies. What I was saying is that the trauma it has crossed generations, as we were told and shared by our presenters. Today, Indigenous people, individuals from across all First Nations communities across Canada relive the trauma. Many people self-medicate with alcohol and drugs, have no access to therapy. So the conversation was around how can we fix this in a meaningful way? How can we be part of the solution? We start with listening. Being part of the conversation is sometimes just listening. Racism is sometimes unintentional, and because some of the thoughts that we have, those racist thoughts they've been normalized in society. So there's so many directions that my brain went in this panel, but the mandate for JCI Canada for 2022 is to raise awareness around diversity and inclusion, put it at the forefront of all of our actions. We want to connect our members, our communities. We want to have everyone be involved in a meaningful way and bring this to part of all of our conversations. So I will finish with echoing two questions posed by one of our speakers, Ms. Lily Miller. What if people started choosing leaders based on community, the betterment of the community rather than ourselves? And what if we lift up those in our communities who are most in need? What we will get is a stronger community overall and people who are involved in the solution. There is hope for the next generation. There's another piece that I heard, that there is hope for generations to come, and it's up to each of us to take personal responsibility for what has happened in the past. I hope that I summarized that well enough. I I don't think I could do justice to the presentations that we had in the Indigenous panel, but I thank you all very much for being here today, and I really appreciate this conversation.
Thank you very much, EVP Sue. Yes, I can feel your emotions. It was emotional. It is an emotional time, and I think when we start by acknowledging, you know, our own weaknesses, and also how uncomfortable it has to be. We have to be there so that we can bring the change. So thank you again to our panelists, Mr. John Moses and Lily Miller, for the presentation and for all that you shared with us today. So our next report will be given by local president from JCI Edmonton, Heather O'Kane, on the Asian community panel.
Good evening, thank you. Yes, I was very much so grateful for the speakers today. They brought so much insight about how their personal experiences have made them want to do whatever they can to overcome racism and discrimination. All of our speakers are currently living in Europe, whether it be in the Netherlands or in Ireland. So their perspectives are slightly different than maybe what we currently see in Canada, but definitely I think there is still the same common thread in their experiences that we can take away. They felt that racism is not as overt but subtle. It's through unconscious bias and just feeling like they're outsiders to the general European makeup of where they live currently. But they all have gotten involved in different ways, either through work, community, or just through their personal experiences, have tried to provide solutions and to tackle the discrimination that Asians face in Europe and around the world. And taking away from that, their call to action is for Asians in all communities to represent themselves, feel like they do belong, become involved in local communities, in politics, in any initiatives that they feel that they are affected by, to help educate the general public and those that are not of their ancestry, and to just be a part of the community as much as possible. So essentially, it's just they really want to ensure that they're able to speak out, be involved, be present, and want to just continue to showcase the differences that they see and bring everyone together.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup, local president Heather. Thank you. And now we will hear from NVP Mehdi Badadi from the Muslim community panel.
Okay, thank you, Yvette. I don't know if you can speak in French and help me to translation.
Yes, go ahead.
Ok, thank you. Donc, merci beaucoup. J'ai eu le grand plaisir d'être avec vous ce soir et j'étais très honoré de participer avec M. Fazil Abdou, M. Taha Gannour et Samia Ahmed.
Merci. Thank you. I was very pleased to be in a panel with Mr. Taha Gehur Samiha Ahmed and Mr. Fazil Abdul.
Et la communauté musulmane, c'est une communauté minoritaire au Canada. Et elle reçoit des agressions malgré les lois de droits de l'homme, mais la communauté musulmane subit des agressions qui sont très graves, qui se peut aller jusqu'à des agressions par arme à feu, ou même pour assassinat, ce qui s'est passé dernièrement à London.
The Muslim community is a minority community that experience a lot of violence and aggressions towards the members of the community, and that can be very harmful. We have recent events that happened in London where an entire family was attacked and killed.
Okay. Et il y a un problème en ce moment qui sont, comme nos panélistes sont en train de l'abattre, c'est l'islamophobie.
And currently there is a problem, the problem that each of our panelists, they've been talking about a fight, that the work they are doing fighting against is Islamophobia.
Donc, ils travaillent pour promouvoir la vraie image de l'islam et des musulmans. Parce que l'islam, c'est pas une race. On peut trouver plusieurs races. La communauté sont des musulmans, des arabes, des européens, des noirs, des blancs sont tous des musulmans. Et
so they are working in order to make people understand that Islam is not a race. Anybody can be a Muslim. You have Muslim who are Asian, you have Muslim who are white, you have Muslim who are blacks. It's not a matter of race, and they are working into making sure that people understand that.
Et avec nos chers panélistes, on a découvert que la communauté musulmane au Canada, elle a beaucoup de succès en politique, en art et en sport. Donc, comme récemment, le ministre qui vient de la Somalie, M. Ahmed.
And we discovered that the Muslim community is doing very well when it comes to politics, that there are eminent politicians in higher places, such as Minister Ahmed Hussein, who's the Minister for Diversity and Inclusion.
Et avec beaucoup de travail, il y a des améliorations, mais c'est des légères améliorations, mais il reste beaucoup de travail qui continuera à faire, et cela sera fait à travers l'union des différentes communautés musulmanes afin de promouvoir la vraie image, notre vraie image de la communauté musulmane.
There are still a lot of work that needs to be done in order to eradicate anti-Islamophobia, and it is by working together all the different communities in order to do that.
Et merci beaucoup, j'ai eu le grand plaisir de participer avec vous à ce groupe.
And thank you so much. I had the pleasure to participate in this panel today. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, NVP Mehdi. Thank you to all of you who are in attendance and who are watching us again this evening. So I'll be summarizing on our panel. So we were in a Black community panel, and we had with us Mrs. Bibatinga, Mrs. Alice Phipps, and Mrs. Agnes Quito. And so each of them, they shared about their experiences. First, Ms. Bibatinga shared about their experience as a mother of a child who has sickle cell disease. And she also shared how the Canadian system is really depriving those suffering with sickle cell disease. So sickle cell disease is a blood disease, and by not putting enough efforts or having practitioners to take care of that. Because of the skin color, they are often neglected. And by having that, sickle cell really affect the future of those who are living with sickle cell disease. And what I really love about sharing is the advocacy, I call her warrior mom, because she talks with passion and but also knowledge because of what she has experienced. So something that she said that is very important and that we are taking away, it is important to speak out, to be involved, to be present, to take action. So she said, interrupt, question, educate, and echo. This is very strong as she was sharing with us. You cannot be outside of the tent and complain. That was a message that she received from former Minister Jean Augustine. We know that discrimination exists, and to win the battle, we really need to acknowledge that we need to speak up. We need to continue advocating. We need to educate people, and we need also to play good by ourselves. We also had the Agnes, who shared about her experience as a boxer, a female Black boxer, and the inequalities in sport when it comes to the lack of support, the lack of funds, the lack of diversity also, that really make you doubt as an individual of your talents and your competences. And so it is important, as she said, not to have to justify yourself from who you are and your talents. You have to be proud of who you are as well. And then we also had Alice Phipps, who shared also about her own experience as a Black Canadian, Afro-Canadian, was born and raised here. And she shared the experience of police violence, how a simple holiday party escalated into having the police wanted to spray pepper the entire people who were in the room. So again, discrimination, racism is real, and we need to speak about it. We need to take actions and make sure that we work together to eradicate racism. So at this time, I would like to ask, thank you, John, for the comment, to build Indigenous awareness and provide an Indigenous perspective based on the Ruth Moses Residential School memoir. Thank you. We are grateful very much, John, for sharing that with us. I would like to give the floor to our panelists if they have one last word that they would like to share with us before giving the floor to those who didn't have an occasion, just to give us their takeaway this evening.
Yvette, I would like to just say a sentence. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Really, I wish I was able to go in every single group and hear. I was very curious to know, how other communities, also our experiences, living in our global community. So I hope we can get maybe some recording, or maybe you will share information with us. But what I would like to say is that sometimes when you are a visible minority or member of a group that can be targeted, you have to to stand and make a decision to pick which when you're gonna speak up and fight back. And as we were talking about the Muslim community, I remember one day in the hospital they just brought food for my son who was there for 2 days, and it was pork, and he said, I don't eat pork. And the lady said, well, you got admitted late, that's what we have left, so then mom is gonna have to go and buy something for you. And that is the basic accommodation that you have to provide. If a patient comes in an emergency and he had surgery, he's going to eat later on, you should look into the file and ask if there is something he doesn't eat. But that day I had to work at 9 p.m., go and look for food. So sometimes you have to pick to say, okay, I'm not going to speak up about that. I'm going to just, focus on the good care. Or am I going to, is it the religion? Is it the race? So it's too much. It's really too much sometimes. You don't know really how difficult it is for us. And again, we shouldn't back up. We should just speak up. We should just advocate for ourselves. And I am so grateful for this platform. And I want you all to continue to do what you do in your respective communities, to continue to be the voice for your community, and to continue also to bring the changes. We have to step in and do the things for ourselves, because nobody's going to do it for us. So thank you, JCI, for bringing us here together, because this is so important. But it shouldn't stop here. This should be maybe a monthly conversation to bring key speakers to change, to have a network so that we can learn from each other. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Biba. Is there another speaker who would like to say the last word? Thank you. Merci. Thank you, everyone. We will also leave the floor for anyone in the participant who would like to share what is it that they are taking away and what is it that they learn. 1-2 minutes for anyone who would like to share. Thank you. Okay, so this concludes our evening or afternoon or morning. I know people are connecting from everywhere. So on behalf of JCI Canada, I would like to thank everyone, especially our dear panelists who took the time to come and share with us their experiences, their work that they do. And the importance of this does not end here. Yes, we need to take the actions. We need to speak up. We need to continue to advocate and working together, because racism is in any form is unacceptable and has no place in Canada. It runs counter to the values and spirit of the diverse and inclusive society that we strive to build here in Canada. So it's really our collective responsibility and effort to step up, to be allies, to stand together as well against any form of hate, any form of misinformation, and any form of discrimination that racism can bring towards the indigenous community, the Black community, the Asian community, and the Muslim community. So thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Yvette, I think Emma had one more thing to say. If are we finishing, or did we have a couple more minutes?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
And there was a question. There was a question in the chat as well.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Emma.
If it's okay, yeah, I had something to say and a question. I wanted to just say that I, as a brought up in South African white, now living in Canada, it's been really quite, I'm a very new immigrant to Canada, and this has been an absolute privilege to be a part of this event and to just help me to broaden my eyes and my understanding of the realities within the Canadian context. coming from the context that I've grown up in and dedicated my career to working in. And so I did just want to say that this has been an incredible privilege. I do also have quite a vulnerable question, if I may, is having grown up in the environment I did and having been born into the culture, the skin color I was, I have, and very vulnerably will openly say, I carry a lot of shame for my skin color. And it's something that I deeply struggle with, being in a white skin, but having a passion for diversity. And I have a general question to any of the panelists. I apologize if I'm not maybe using the right words or putting it across correctly, but I would really appreciate if anyone had any advice or words or encouragement for those of us who are born into the, I'll just broadly say the white community, who have unfortunately historically impacted so negatively so many of the Indigenous communities in the world. How can we get involved, have a voice, without feeling that it's not our place, and that and that our shame doesn't have to keep us quiet? Because obviously we can't change anything our ancestors have done, but it also doesn't help for us to stay quiet in shame. So I hope that was delivered in a respectful way, and I apologize if my words were in any way unintentionally not. But that's just a big question that I sit with in my life, is where is my right and my place that I am allowed to speak up without then being criticized that I'm trying to make up for history or anything like that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma, for your question. I see many hands raised. I will give the floor to Diane first, and then I believe Reg and Lily, and well, all the panelists. That is wonderful. So you can go ahead, Diane.
First, thank you for your question, Emma, and thank you for showing your vulnerability. Sorry, I'm from the Netherlands. I think it's a really good question because I'm in the JCI Europe Diversity and Inclusion Committee. I become the chairperson next year, and this year we have a white woman from Germany. She's here, Jennifer Paulsen. And it's very important to create a dialogue. And I have a really good example. I organized a workshop about discrimination within the recruitment market with someone who's white, because it was about discrimination in general and not about color. And everybody, some people, they didn't want to go to the workshop because she was white. So she was ashamed as well. So my advice is to create a dialogue with the people and to understand what they're thinking about it, and about the fact that you are white, and to understand why are they are thinking, how they think about white privilege or something. But it's also good if you mentioned that you would like to create impact with the diversity inclusion projects, because we need everyone to create an impact, including white people. I mean, at the end, it's connecting people with each other. And if we don't have the dialogue with each other, then it doesn't work. So I think it's very important to create a dialogue, so to understand the other person, but to also give insight to the person as well, as a white person, what you think about it. And it's very important that you're honest if you don't understand. So my best advice is, if you don't understand, ask. Stupid questions do not exist. So it's better to do that than conclude, oh, it's this, it's that. So I see more hands, so maybe Reg, Alice, Lee, and Fazil can add some information or their thoughts about it.
Yeah, so I would say as well, it's great to hear you say what you said, actually, and it's great to, like, we need, in a way, we need allies, because if we just continue talking about it in the Asian community, for example, it doesn't cascade out. then you don't have that momentum of actually society seeing us as not as others, seeing us as being included in daily life and so on. But a couple of things that I would say to keep in mind. The first one is it's about being humble. And you don't need to be ashamed, but be humble. When I say be humble, you also have to realize that it's not about you. It's not about your shame. It's not about how you in a way feel. It's about us. Like, this is about us. Us as Asians, but also us as minorities and us as just human beings. So be humble about that. And also be respectful that in a lot of places or a lot of times, we need our safe space. We need our safe space to be able to talk about issues that are challenging us without fear of having somebody come in and take away the safe space, but also come in and judge us. So we need that, a safe environment, safe space to also talk about issues that might be difficult for other people to hear. But that's what I wanted to mention.
Thank you so much, Reg. I believe we had, I saw Lily.
Alice was next.
Oh, Alice. Thank you, Lily. Alice was next.
Hi, again, thank you very much for asking these questions. And it's actually a very good question, and you don't need to feel embarrassed to ask such a question. I wish there are actually more people asking such a questions. And I think you have difficulty facing the question. And from my understanding is, making it short, you're wondering how can you be an ally without being the white savior person, right? How do you this is a very fine line, right? And how do you do that? Now, just a little story to share with you. I was involved with another training a couple months ago with it's about diversity in Ireland here. And there were all different colors of people. And the host asked questions to all these immigrants. What's the one thing that you wish Irish people would do? What's the one thing that you're wondering what's wrong? You'll be surprised what everyone says. Like, literally, it's like, I think 100% of the people agree with that one thing. They never invite us. We don't experience a lot of confrontational racism in Ireland. We're very lucky. But it just is one thing. They don't invite us to the birthday party. They don't invite us to the Christmas. They don't invite us to the graduation. They don't invite us to the child's birth celebration. They just don't invite us. They don't invite us to the dinner. They don't invite us to their home. So there is this one thing. So my point is, it doesn't need to be very grand. It doesn't necessarily need you to go out and protest and do all this stuff. Invite someone for dinner. That's one thing. Just treat us as another normal person. You don't need to treat us any special or any different. Just invite us to someplace. Just treat us as you would with other person. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Lily?
I can really relate to what you're saying. My half brother is really struggling with having half white, his mom. He feels a great deal of guilt and shame. And so I think that's what I hear. You're feeling guilt and shame from what your ancestors have done, but I don't know if you're spiritual or what have you, but what's done is done. And this is your journey now. This is your time. And I feel like you're saying your purpose is to make things better for everyone. And you know, I lift you up for that. That's not everybody has that as a purpose. And I would like to lift that guilt off of you, because that's not you. You're a person who's making a difference. And as far as white privilege, oh boy, I wish I had white privilege. So use it whenever you can. If you can hold people accountable, businesses, what's, you know, how many people of diversity do you have hired in your business? You should hire more people of diversity. You should give these people a chance. You have a voice. I wish I had that voice. I wish people took me as seriously as they do you. And I don't know if you are, but I'm sure you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Fazil?
Yes, thanks for being so honest. And I want to say that one wants to be ashamed of being and don't carry the baggage of something has had in the past. Thing is that I feel like as Ibn Rushd said that once, the Ebros said once that ignorance leads to fear, and fear leads to hate, and that hate leads to violence. So, regarding Islamophobia or any kind of racism, xenophobia, or any kind of things, people are ignorant about the same things that are represented. The basically, as a Muslim, it's uncontrollable from the Muslim side to explain the what Muslims than over there in the media and the cinemas and whatever that they're in the societies. So for the here, as I said that educate the people what the people are like. Muslims are not different. The black are not different from all the people. The Asians are not different, not lesser or the big or higher difference. All have the same blood, and all are human beings having purpose and the soul and everything. They're born in the world, and they will get up from the world once. So I here feel like that being the part, holding the hands together to make everyone for the justice. Here, when I say that's Islamophobia, like against the Muslims, xenophobia for against immigrants, the black racism against the blacks. The basic point here is injustice, the discrimination. For everything, we microanalyze and term as a black racism, as an indigenous racism, some kind of an Islamophobia, or kind of anything that and Islamophobia. Then we can go in front of that. What happens? Because Muslim can be black, white Muslim, Asian Muslim. So there can works both of that, Muslim and an Asian, Muslim and a black. So here the basic thing is that wherever discrimination, stand and raise your voice against injustice. Wherever injustice, behold and hug them and protect them and raise the voice against whether there is a Muslim, there is a black, whether there is an Asian, there is an African, whether there is white. Even white can have some issues. So I really appreciate the honesty that you have shown them here. So thing is that we all should raise, and that some people has the fear of raising the voice. In the discussion says that Muslims has or the people who are for the advocates, like for the Chinese, the Indians, or some other, or the institution are watching them seriously for making advocacies in the news channels or for making raising the voice. So keep them together, put them the effort together to raise the voice louder and be the voice for the voiceless. That's all thing that I want to say that. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. Can we please give a round of applause for all our panelists this evening? Again, you can do it via the chat, and I will spotlight them once again to thank them for sharing with us their knowledge and also their experience and their work. And this will conclude our evening. It is 6:29, and we are on time. We are still on time. But again, our takeaway here for what I started is important to continue to speak up, being a respectful ally, as Emma said. Lily said, Emma, you don't have to bear that on yourself, because it's not you, and you are doing the right thing by being here and advocating for change. So thank you, everyone. We will be taking, maybe if you can open your camera for those who are here. I hope I didn't forget anybody. And we will take a picture, a group picture, and if you are okay with that. Is everyone okay with? Okay, so just a moment. I'm missing one panelist here. I believe it's Samiha. And Jehur. Is Jehur still here? I don't see him. So, okay, I'll be taking one picture first, and then I'll take the entire group. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And I'll take another one with everybody. And Mr. Ranjit Matthew, I know you are in the room and that you take better picture than me, so don't hesitate to take. And now we will have everyone. Okay, so in gallery mode. Okay, so gallery mode and everyone. Oh, Samiha, she's here. Okay, so one more for the entire group. Thank you. Thank you for opening your camera and staying so late. I know in Europe, but it is already nighttime. Thank you again, Jan, all the way from Germany. Thank you for all of you.
Thank you. Thanks for organizing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening, and let's stay connected. This is not going to be the last time that we'll be having those conversations, and we will be reporting on the actions moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We can meet together.
Thank you. And the MCs and facilitators, if you want to please.
Congratulations, Team JCI Canada.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Samiha. Thank you, Alice. Fazil. Okay. Yep, that was a good one. Okay, Agnes.